All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining me. Sorry I'm running a little bit behind here today, but let's get this thing started right away, shall we? So here's what we're going to do in this stream. First, as you know, we're going to take a look at the bigger picture, right? We're going to assess the general momentum, what's going on. We're going to gain a sense of context. And then the second step, we're going to use the Trade Scanner Pro to confirm our idea to look for a trade. So first, we're going to look for an idea. Second, we're going to confirm it with the Trade Scanner Pro because it is a confirmation tool. In these streams, the goal here is to show you how I use the Trade Scanner Pro, and at the same time, I'm demonstrating it in use of trying to get an evaluation account from Apex, which is a prop firm, trying to beat an eval account, which has a $3,000 profit objective. Okay, I'm up $1,000 right now. I have to make two more $1,000 on this prop account. If I can do that, then the money that I make on these streams, I can withdraw. So there's a lot of great potential with that, right? So that's the objective. And I've been working on this now for a few weeks, and we'll watch this thing as we progress. Now, I'm going to be I will trade the micro NASDAQ futures, which is the MNQ, and we'll go from there. By the way, if you're new to the stream, I want to welcome you. I stream at this time every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. All right, and it's supposed to be around the market open, so I'm a little bit behind here, like I said. And that's that. So, by the way, anyone here? Let me check my comments over here. Hey, Lav, how are you? Anyone check out that guy Tommy Anytime that I shared the other day? I'm not gonna. I mean, I want to talk about that guy every day because people need to be checking him out. Tommy Anytime. Just go to YouTube, type in Tommy Anytime, and check him out because he's got some great videos on how people scam you in this business. Okay. All right. So let's move this. Let's change this over. Actually, by the way, real quick, look what's happening. I want to point something out with Bitcoin real quick. This is my Bitcoin daily chart, and for the week, I wrote this article on Saturday, and I'm anticipating this pullback. Look at this. It's look at this price action right here. Going into this, right? That price action can be classified as a bear flag. I mean, we could draw parallel lines on that. Okay, you see that? That's bearish. So that's the type of pattern that is highly probable at such a location. That's why I have this arrow here. I came up with that analysis on Saturday, and now it's starting to play out here a bit. It was a little funky. Look at that. But now looks like it's got the failed high right here, or the lower high. It's got the lower high in place on a daily time frame, and it broke yesterday's low, and it looks like it's trying to break this support area here. If it can do that, you're looking at a pullback to 90K. That opens up the possibility. See that? Same type of analysis I do on small time frames. Same thing. I guess no one watched Tommy Anytime, huh? Let me see how many people are watching me. Let me see how depressed I should be here. One guy on YouTube. By the way, Twitter people, do me this favor. If you're watching me on Twitter, because that seems to be where, if I have anyone watching me, it seems to be there. Retweet this stream to your followers. I don't care if you have 2 followers. Just do me that favor. If you like the stream, please retweet the stream. No one retweets these streams. And I understand. I mean, usually streams or content that gets retweeted is usually controversial. Stuff that pisses people off. I don't piss anyone off, I guess. So anyway, but do me that favor. Retweet my stream on Twitter. It'll help out because I get nothing on Twitter. I get no traction as far as new subscribers. I get nothing on there. All right. Anyway, let's switch this over here to the MNQ. So MNQ1. All right. And we're going to switch this one over here, MNQ1. Okay. And this over here on this side is going to be the 1 minute MNQ. The market just opened. And on this side, we'll start with the daily time frame. And then we're going to move to our hourly time frame. All right, everyone following me so far? Let me know if you have questions. Lav, let me know if you have any questions. Now, remember what we talked about on Monday. Anyone remember? Resistance. Remember that? Remember I said we're in a likely pullback zone for bigger picture type of activity? Well, it looks like we're getting it. We got the failed high. Look at this candle so far. This thing is minus 400 points. Okay. That looks like we're preparing a sell-off leg, meaning the next few days we may get a test of this low, possibly. That would equate to 430 area on the Qs. By the way, Friday is non-farm payrolls. Anyway, by the way, today we were supposed to have core PCE. Has that number come out yet? Can anyone tell me live? Can you check that for me on the economic calendar, core PCE? Because I don't know what time that comes out exactly. That may have been an 8:30 number. If that was an 8:30 number, then that explains this. But if that's like a 10 o'clock number, then we need to be very aware of that. Okay? So can someone just double check on that, confirm that for me? Core PCE, what time that comes out? That's an important Fed number. They use that. So that's why the market pays attention. But anyway, all right. 12:30 p.m. 12:30. Core PCE, 12:30? That doesn't make sense. Are you sure? 12:30. I don't know. That seems weird, Lav. Usually that's usually like an 8:30 number or like a 10 a.m. number or a 10:30 number. Are you sure it's 12:30? Core PCE? I mean, if that's what your economic calendar says, I guess that's what it is, but it's a very unusual time. Can you just double check that? Anyway, so here's what I'm doing on my daily chart. This is all I'm doing. There's a couple of numbers that I want to pull from this. Hey, Slow, how are you? Can someone just Slow, could you do me a favor? Just double check that core PCE number. Just let me know what time that comes out. Lav is saying 12:30 Eastern time. I think that's a very unusual time for such a number. So what I want to do on this time frame, on my daily time frame, is I'm just pulling the overnight high and overnight low and yesterday's high and yesterday's low. That's all. I don't really need to be on top of the trend, okay, on this time frame. So see that? That's all I need from this. That's all I need. I have the current candle high and low, and I have yesterday's high and low. Following me so far? Those are support and resistance levels. Now, it's important because what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to evaluate two components. 8:30. Okay, 8:30. That makes sense. That's usually okay. So, Lav, you must be wrong on the time zone. No problem, though. We got it. So 8:30, that means the number's out, which may explain this move. Okay, beautiful. So we don't have to deal with it. All right, cool. So what we look for, we look to gather our context before we could take a trade signal, because we cannot take a trade signal just because one shows up. I think the time zone. Okay, no problem. That's why we check, Lav. No problem. So remember, our idea is what has to come first. You guys know that, but anyone that's new comes along here may not realize that, especially if you're new to the Trade Scanner Pro. You're going to think, oh, signal. No, signals are secondary. First, we have to come up with our idea. So to come up with that, we need to know two things: trend and trend and levels, right? But trend and levels are going to come from the time frames relevant to the day trade time frames that we're interested in. This is the daily time frame you see on my chart. This trend is not going to be as important here on my daily time frame because I need to get that from a smaller time frame for day trades to be relevant to day trades. Do you follow me? So all I want from my larger time frame, my daily time frame, are the levels. That's all I want. Okay? So let's go to the 1 hour chart, because the 1 hour chart is where I'm going to get trend information, because I have my levels. Okay? Those are my larger time frame levels. Those levels are likely to be in play, or at least we can anticipate some type of inflection point or some type of activity there, some type of activity that we can anticipate in the future. That's why we want those there. But we need to look at those levels in some sort of context. We can't just draw random lines on the chart and just say, okay, we got level here, because we need to have some sort of expectation around those levels. Now, our general trend, looking back, which sort of relates to the bigger picture, our general trend, it was bullish, right? Higher low, right? Higher low, higher low. We were pushing higher highs, but then this lower high, lower low. That's not bullish right now. So we broke a few support levels. A market that is strong should not break support levels. All right. So I'm going to have to go with this momentum. I'm going to have to classify this as bearish momentum for the smaller time frame. Now, look, when I zoom out a bit, we could still argue that this is bullish, right? Higher lows, but we cannot ignore this, the lower high. We cannot ignore this new structure and support break. We cannot ignore that. If we were supporting, like if we had that, but we still stayed above this low over here, like we stayed above that or whatever, or it touched it and reversed, okay, I'd say, okay, we're still generally strong. But this could be a change here. We could be bullish. This could be just a transition of some time. Some type. It could be a consolidation. I don't know. But all I can say is that structure right there is not bullish. All right. So for the Trade Scanner Pro, I'm going to have to lean on the bearish side. What that means is I have to anticipate supports to break and resistances to hold. That also means that I'm looking for short setups. Make sense? Let's turn the Trade Scanner Pro on this chart. Does it say anything? Let's see. When you subscribe to the Trade Scanner Pro, by the way, you have to make sure you turn these settings on. Otherwise, you're going to be missing a lot of information. Now, if you notice, it says trend is bullish. So the momentum hasn't changed on the hourly chart yet, interestingly enough, even though we broke some supports. So who's right? Is the Trade Scanner Pro right? Or is our assessment right? Or which one carries more weight? Our assessment carries more weight because the Trade Scanner Pro doesn't see the picture the way we see it. It's looking at more limited information because that's all it can do. People have to understand something about tools that you use on chart platforms like this. They're limited in scope. They cannot see the bigger picture. They cannot account for certain things that we can account for very easily. So we have to put in our input, and our input carries more weight. The Trade Scanner Pro is simply a confirmation tool that reduces our analysis burden once the trade is in play. Once a signal is in play, then the Trade Scanner Pro, that's where it works its magic. It defines the risk, it defines a profit objective, it gives you a trailing stop, and it reduces your decision-making process dramatically. It simplifies the whole process. But you still have to come up with the idea. I have to emphasize that a lot because I still see this. People sign up for the Trade Scanner Pro and they cancel it, like right away. It's like, dude, what are you doing, man? This tool is not for beginners. I'm just going to come out and say it. If you're a beginner, don't waste your time. Go find some magic tool somewhere that promises you millions of dollars and a Ferrari tomorrow. The Trade Scanner Pro is not that. It's a confirmation tool with people who have some knowledge of the market. If you don't, or if you think you do, you're going to find out right away that it's not going to do the magic that you want. Okay? It's for people that have a little bit of experience. You don't have to have a lot of experience, but you have to have a little bit of experience. You have to understand trend. You have to understand levels. If you don't get it, or if you're too busy with your RSI and all other nonsense, don't waste your time. Go somewhere else. That's why I'm not popular. No one likes to hear that. All right? Anyway. All right. But you guys, my regulars, you guys hear all the time, so you know what's going on. I'm not yelling at you guys. I'm yelling at those beginners, those Ferrari chasers who sign up to my thing and then cancel it after an hour. And we're wasting each other's time here. Okay? Anyway. So, and I stream every other day. These are free training sessions. I'm streaming here, demonstrating how this works so that you can do this. Right? It's a free training. I should be charging a lot of money for this training. I'm doing it for free. And this is prime time. I should be on my own account right now working, this market. But instead, I'm here with you trying to demonstrate how this works, right? So please utilize this. Go back to my old streams. Watch how I take trades on this thing if you're unsure. There's plenty of videos to watch. All right. Enough ranting, right? So look at this. Looks like we're pushing this resistance a bit. See that? Okay. Now, again, don't be confused by this. Don't be confused by this because we're not taking trades on the hourly chart, are we? We're taking trades on the 30-second or the 1-minute chart. The hourly gives us perspective. So trend, we're going to go with bearish momentum. And let's see, the support broke as anticipated, right? So support should break, resistances should hold. Now, we're going to switch this to a 30-second chart. We have our perspective. Let me know if you're unsure. Let me know if you guys don't understand what I just showed you here, right? And if you're like on Twitter or something, come over to YouTube and ask me the question. Hey, I don't understand what you're doing, okay? And again, Twitter people, help me out. Retweet this stream to your friends. It takes 2 seconds to press the retweet button. Please do that for me. It's the least you could do. All right. So this is my 30-second chart, right? That's where I'm taking trades. On this time frame over here, we have the 1-minute chart. In fact, I'm going to change the size to 2 contracts because that's what we want. We want 2. And the first thing I want to check on these time frames is what the trend setting is. Bearish. Okay, good. That's what I want. Because if that said bullish, I'd have to switch to counter trend mode. You guys understand that? Tell me right now if you don't understand that. Bearish. That's what I want to see. That means that the Trade Scanner Pro is going to be looking for short signals. That's what I'm interested in. Short signals. Now, we broke that support and we kind of rejected the area. You see that? Interestingly enough. So on this smaller time frame, actually, let's go to our 1-minute chart. On this smaller time frame, I can work with some reference points like that right there and like this up here. See those lower highs? If this market is going to be weak, then we have no business testing those highs, do we? A market that's weak doesn't break resistances. Those are minor, but still, if this market is truly weak, if it's going to be weak today, then we should be respecting those levels, right? So if I'm going to get a signal, that short signal, if I'm going to get one, ideally should appear around here somewhere because the Trade Scanner Pro is a pullback tool, right? So look, we have a pullback. This is a pullback in a bearish structure, right? Possible lower high. So that's kind of the look that I want to see for shorts, all right? So I don't have any heads up. These red columns that you see on the chart, that's called heads up. And that tells you that a signal is likely to appear in the next 3 to 5 candles. That's something that you could turn on and off on the Trade Scanner Pro. Obviously, we like to leave it on because it tells you when a signal is coming. By the way, if you're going to use this tool, like for larger time frames, like for swing trades, then you would use TradingView's notification function, right? You just go over here, click on this here, and you can actually set the Trade Scanner Pro. You select Trade Scanner Pro, and it will tell you. You will get an email, or however you instruct TradingView to contact you. You will, excuse me, you will get an email or a text message or whatever when a heads up appears on your hourly chart or whatever. You want to use that for larger time frames so that you don't have to sit around waiting on your computer. Okay, an hourly chart, a 4-hour chart, whatever you're using. That's a nice little tool to have. Now, if you're using the free version of TradingView, you can only set up one notification. If you have a premium version, you can set up multiple notifications, okay? All right. Let me know if you have any questions, you guys. So again, Twitter people, let me see. Every time I look at these numbers, man, I have to question myself. Why do I do this? Man, like, I know people are like, come on. The other day, I think it was Slow. He's like, you have to be patient, he says to me. I appreciate that. Trust me, I know all about having to be patient. The problem is, when I see only 3 people on here, it's like, man, YouTube sucks, man. They don't help me out at all. And I know I have to do uploads. Like, that's why it sucks, because they don't really promote streams very heavily. You have to have uploads, and then you get the following from uploads, and then they get the notification when you stream. And I have a hard time with the uploads, but I'll get to it. So right now, all you could do really to help me out is press the like button, press subscribe. Here, where is that? Let me press my little button thing over here. Where is it? Here, this thing right here. Press like and subscribe, and you don't notification bell if you're new. And if you're on Twitter and you can't do that, just retweet my stream. That would be very helpful over there. All right, so I'm waiting here for a signal. There's nothing for me to do. One nice thing about the Trade Scanner Pro, I forgot to put the trade buttons. I got to put the trade buttons on this chart. And I have to there's also a thing where I can show the trades on this chart. I got to set that up as well. Right now, the only thing we could do is we could see the account, right? This is the account right here. And again, it's a $50,000 Apex account. And I have to, the objective is $3,000, okay? And I'm showing you a sustainable method to beat the eval. How many of you trade prop accounts? Because that's really who I'm trying to gear the stream toward, or people that are interested in prop trader, prop firms. Prop firms are not perfect. Okay, some are better than others in terms of rules. Some are more competitive than others. I'm not an affiliate for any of them, so I'm not going to sit here and push one over another. I'm using Apex because I like their pricing, but each one of them have particular rules, especially when it comes to payouts, because remember, their goal is for you to lose, not win. They are just a gigantic casino. That is the same role that they play. And as much as they tell you, oh, yeah, we want successful traders, they lie through their teeth. They just want you to lose because that's huge profit potential for them, right? They don't want people who win. People that win are liabilities for them. So understand that's the game you're playing. I still believe in the prop firm model because the risk reward aspect of it is very compelling if you know what you're doing, because you can basically take the opportunity to learn how to trade size, meaningful size, without having to take the risk that's often associated with that kind of size. For example, I can trade 10 mini lots on this account. I can't do that with a real account like this. Now, understand, this is not a $50,000 account. People you may not realize that, and they want you, they confuse you like that's done on purpose. Okay, man, this looks like a nice little setup here, but I'm not getting anything from the Trade Scanner Pro, so I'm not going to chase it, and I'm not going to go to a 15-second chart. If I get no signals, oh, there we are. Hey, no heads up on that. Interesting. All right, so let me just see the next candle going to be a little red. We're going to break that low. Let's see. All right, I'm going to hit it. All right, so I just banged 2 contracts short. Okay, no heads up on that. That's weird. Maybe the candle is too big or something. All right, so let's see how that goes. Short on the 30-second chart. Now, like I was saying, I lost my train of thought there. Okay. Oh, yeah, let's check the risk. What kind of risk am I taking on this? 47 points. 47 points is about right on a 30-second chart. It really should be somewhere between 30 and 50 points. So that's within reason. And my profit objective on this, what is it? 70 points. Okay, that's 1.5 to 1. Now, if we break this support here, if we break this little supportive area, that would be a great sign. Okay, I don't like this price action. Now, I have to respect these levels. That's the whole point of this. If we touch the stop, I have to bang it out, and that's that. It sucks, but that's that. You have to just respect the levels. There are going to be stop outs on these things. And, I've been getting away with some greens in like the recent week, and, we're bound to come across a red. So this may be it. Yeah, I don't like the way that looks. Completely reversed in my face. Now we get the heads up. You see that? So that may turn into another signal. So if I get another, what time is it? All right, got to buy it back. Buy it back. Okay, I'm out. That sucked. What time is it? 10. Okay, so that's not the 10 o'clock number. Okay, that's just noise. Yeah, well, it could be, but the thing is, like that this type of price action, this is not bearish price action. Like we may have a change here. We should not be compromising these resistances. We should not have done that. This bearish momentum right here should have stayed intact. We should have broke that support and tested the low if this thing was weak. That's what it should have done. Now, let's see how much money that cost me. $220. That stinks, man. But all right, that's what am I going to do? We have to deal with that. Now, great thing is this is a prop account. Is that real money? No, it's not real money, but that's going to, if I can't make that money back, then it's going to, just basically cost me more time to beat this eval, But look, we're bound to get red trades. Now, if I get this here, if I get the signal here, I will try one more short. If the short fails, I'm done. I'm not going to take a third trade. There's a heads up. Also, what I like about this one is the 1 minute. We're getting it on the 1 minute also. Now, that's not a requirement. You don't need to get it on both. It's just nice to see that though. So if I see the signal and it pops up, and then I see like the red, we get like a little bit of follow through on it, I'll hit the contracts. In fact, I think I'll do 3 because I'm going to do 3 contracts. See if I can make some money back with that. Now, let's see how that goes. Now, like I said, if I take a second trade and it stops out, then I turn it off. I do not continue. I'll just have to make the money back on Friday. Every single trade in this account is on this stream. I don't trade this account outside the stream. All right, I'm waiting for the signal to pop up here. We should be seeing one in the next candle or so. It's based on the candle close. So let's see what time we got. Okay, we got about 10 seconds. We may get a signal on this close here. Let's see. This, by the way, if this sticks, if this is a short signal, there it is. All right, let's see if now the next candle, do we get a green close or is it red? Is it going to be red? Let me give it a chance here to kind of demonstrate itself. If we get a green close, I'll step aside. I don't care if it's small. Like if it's green, see that? See that? See what I mean? Like I'm not going to short that. Right, just because there's a signal there, you could wait a few seconds. It doesn't mean you're going to miss anything. If I get I don't mind getting a slightly worse price if momentum is going my way. See that? I shouldn't have a green inside bar there. Now, maybe we get another push through that blue line. I'm still open to shorting, but I haven't taken the position yet. I'm waiting. I'm not going to short this. For one, the market should not, if the market's weak, it shouldn't exactly be doing this. All right, so we may have a transitioning market. Transitioning markets is where you lose all the money, by the way, because we're looking for a trend, and if the trend is in the process of changing, and we're still looking for one side, we're going to be on the wrong side for a little bit until it's pretty clear that the trend has changed. There's no way to know that the trend has fully changed until it takes some time before you can officially make that argument. This is a mixed area right here. All right, so I got that. Look at this. No go on that short. I'm not shorting that. Now, maybe this one stops out and gives us another one. We'll see, but we're starting to get a little ahead of ourselves. Like this thing's getting a little too far. Do you see how I was able to avoid that? Do you guys understand that? Like I waited for this candle. Like I can't, you're not going to learn in any book anywhere to wait for this candle. That's just something I know to do, right? Wait for the candle. If the second candle was more productive, meaning it gave us, a red candle like this, I would then take that short, right? And even though I'd get a worse price, at least momentum is going my way. Look, this is almost getting stopped out. And I'm not in it. Look at that. That's going to get stopped out. Look at that. Stopped out. See what I mean? So we're trying to work on the short side here. And so far, 2 trades stopped out. I was able to avoid the second one. This is not bearish, man. So let's look around. When we see this, let's take a look at the hourly chart. What's happening over here? Look at this. So we're rejecting that support, it looks like. So maybe the bigger picture isn't bearish after all, right? Maybe we should be leaning on the long side after all. That support is it looks like that support is being respected. We broke these minor resistances. We broke that one. So, all right, we're going to have to keep an eye on that. We may have to make an adjustment here. So we'll try, I'll try one more. But this, I mean, because these areas, I mean, this is still a minor resistance, right? Structures on a 30-second chart are minor. So we may break a couple, but again, it's certainly showing us some sort of strength here. And at some point, I'm going to have to decide I'm not going to look for shorts anymore. My 1 minute is giving us heads up. Maybe we get a signal there. We'll take a look at that. I mean, we can argue here when I expand my 1 minute chart. I mean, look at this. This structure is generally bearish still. And our most recent lower high was here. See that? So we broke this one, which is the beginnings of a bullish situation. Hey, James. Upside. Okay, so you're seeing that. Oh, you're seeing the reverse head and shoulders. You're seeing this. Right. Okay, which, yes, that's a valid pattern. And it's a valid pattern at a support area, like sort of at a support area. This is a failed low also. But the thing is, we're judging that on a 1 minute time frame that doesn't carry a lot of weight. So that right there is not going to change my mind as far as trend reversal. That's not enough. Okay? The general structure hasn't been broken yet. We have a reversal. This would be way more compelling if we had a pullback on a bullish structure, on a clear bullish structure. We don't have that. Okay? Oh, look, we got another signal here. All right, I think I'm going to take this one. All right, I'm short. Okay, shorted 3. Now, let's see. I may cover 1. If I get 1 to 1, I'm going to set this back to 1 so I can start covering. We're on the verge of getting a bearish signal on the 1 minute here. Let's see what this thing does. Now, again, you see those reversal patterns, right? But those are you have to understand, everything is relative to time frame, and our idea comes from the bigger picture. So that's why we can't qualify that as a trend change. It could be, but I would not use that as my qualifier. If that makes sense. But good observation. Look, we got our 1 minute signal. See that? Good sign. I like to see that. Doesn't mean it's better, but it just, I'd rather see it than not see it. What's the risk on that? 53 points. Okay. And the risk on this one, 36 points. You see that? The risk compared on each time frame, you see that? This risk is 36 points. 37 points, 36 points. The risk on the 1 minute time frame is 53 points. Which one would you rather take? The 1 minute time frame can be helpful where if this thing starts going our way, if this thing gives us some progress, the 1 minute objective can be helpful there because the 1 minute objective is going to be greater than the 30-second objective. Does that make sense? The smaller the time frame, the smaller the reward risk. 55-point objective on the 30-second time frame. All right, this thing isn't working. So let me set this up to get out. Now, by the way, when you take these trades, especially if you're doing this with a real account, you really should set your orders like a stop order should be a hard stop. Okay? Not a soft stop. I'm using a soft stop, meaning I'm getting out manually. If it goes up there, I get out manually. The reason why you should use a hard stop is if there's some news and this thing spikes the wrong way, I'm going to lose a lot more money than I should be losing. All right. But I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. I'll just get out. But you could run into that situation where some news comes out unexpectedly, and this thing's up 100 points, and you're just it's up 100 points, and you're just about to press the button to get out, up 100 points against you. Like, it can happen. It's uncommon, but it can happen, right? So to mitigate that risk, you should put in a hard stop, and you would do that simply by going to your trade panel, right? And like turn these on. If you're using like a platform like this, you would just put those on and make sure your information is entered in there. And then you'll have the stop and profit objective in place. You could do that. Okay, this thing sucks. This market, it's not weak. I mean, all we're seeing is short signals, and then this thing is just rising. That's not weak. So if I have to bang this out, I'm not going to continue. I'm not taking a third trade. I'm giving back a good portion of my profits, whatever. Hey, it's going to happen. These kind of days are going to happen. And it's going to happen when the market's transitioning. And I'm not always going to be able to get away with making my money back. That's why I take a second trade to see if I can make some money back. If I can't, I don't continue. That's what preserves your account, because if you try to continue, that's what leads to wiping out or blowing the account. And trust me, I've had those situations. Okay? So, man, this thing sucks. Like this should not be behaving like this. This isn't weak. When weakness is, you get the sell signal like this, you get this here, and it continues, right? That's weakness. This is not weakness. All right? People are buying for whatever reason. So they're sucking me into these shorts because I had my short side opinion. I'm wrong. Clearly, I'm wrong. This market's not cooperating. And by the way, momentum should happen pretty quickly. When you take a trade, maybe they let me out green on this one. I don't know. But when you take a trade, momentum should work for you right away. If you're on the right side, like if I was long, right? If I got long here, there's no long signal. But if I was long, this thing would be working, right? Momentum should work for you right away. You shouldn't be sitting here like, oh man, I got to take pain. Like, there shouldn't be a bunch of pain involved. Not on these time frames. On the bigger picture, yes. If you trade an hourly time frame or something like that, you may be stuck. There may be some pain for a day or two. That's possible. Or a 4-hour time frame, that's possible. Especially a daily time frame, it may go against you for a day or two. But when we're dealing with 30 seconds, it should go your way pretty quickly. Okay? So this sucks, man. We should be, if this thing is weak, we need to break that low right there. Okay? We need to break that low. If we can't even break that low, then this market's telling us something. All right? So, man, not easy. It's not easy when the market's transitioning. Now, so here's what I'll tell you. If this trade stops out, I'm not going to like I said, I'm not going to take any more trades. But if you're going to continue, the thing is, you don't start reversing and going long either, even though we just keep getting long signals, because I would consider this a mixed market, right? You can't just be binary. Like, okay, it's bullish or bearish. No, this could be transitioning. And I'll tell you the key level to confirm bullish for me, to say, okay, I should start looking for longs. We need to break that high. We need to clear that high right there. If we clear that high, then the structure's bullish. Then I'll say, okay, you know what? Because if we're bearish, we should not be clearing that. We shouldn't be doing that. Now, if we clear it briefly and we turn right around, then that's bearish, right? But if we clear it and we just continue, then that's when I would switch my mindset and adjust. Remember, this game is the art of adjusting, okay? Not having some magical forecast or, being able to tell the future. That's all nonsense. All right, then I have to get out. Okay, bought him back, done. This isn't a week. This market is not, look at the 1 minute's going to get stopped out too. All right, let's take a look at this, how bad this looks. Minus 437. All right, I gave back $400. What's my account up right now? 54.9. All right, so I gave back half my profit. That sucks, but it's going to happen. So I'm not taking any more trades. I'm done. I tried. Look, there were 3 signals. I took the first one, stopped out, right? The second one, I managed to avoid, stayed out of this. The third one, stopped out. Is the trend on this thing bullish yet? Yeah, it's bullish on this time frame now. Okay. So the Trade Scanner Pro switched to bullish. I'm not taking another one. That's it. I'm done. But here's the thing. This is the point that I want to make. If this thing is going to be bullish, then it should break this resistance. It should have no problem breaking that if it's going to be bullish. This just may be one of those annoying pullbacks that just kind of grinds and grinds up into the resistance, gets everyone long, and then pulls back. That could happen. But the reason why, and that the third trade may be the one that works, and I may miss that. But the reason why I'm not going to take the third trade is because if I keep taking trades, right? Remember that Friday a couple of weeks ago, I basically in one trade in one day, I gave back like 8 something, and I had to spend the following week making that money back piece by piece. I was minus 8 something, and up until today, I was up 9 something, 930, whatever it was. Okay, and I had to make that back piece by piece, and I was able to do that. But on that day, if I had just stopped a little earlier, I'd be up more money right now. Okay. I remember at one point I was minus 4 something, and I'm like, okay, one more trade. And I took one more trade, and then I was minus like 8 something. So I'm like, all right, you got to stop. So I tried 2 times. That's the rule. You try 2 times. If I get it right the first time, I'm done. If I lose the first time, I get it right the second time, I make some money back, and then I'm done. If I get both of them wrong, I'm done. Don't push it. Okay. It sucks, but don't push it. Every trade is documented here, so you see what reality is like. I mean, look at this. So let's go back to our 1 hour and let's observe what's going on here. So I guess we could say that the 1 hour, while we broke that support, and I said that bearish price action was meaningful, the market is still rejecting that support, right? It's rejecting, which means this market, if this candle closes strong, we have about 30 minutes. Then this trend may not be bearish at all. Okay, this overall trend here, this may just be a failed low. And this may be bullish. We may continue bullish. So the next resistance would be up in here, in this area, which is what? 19,550. These are the levels that matter on the bigger picture, not on a 1 minute chart. So here we are at that minor level, right? Let's see how it behaves there. Like I said, we're just going to observe it. I want this one to be the 30-second, and this one to be the hourly. No, not the hourly. What am I doing? 1 minute. Okay. What is it? No, 1 minute. That was the 1 month. So the trend on my 1 minute still says bearish. We may still get that. We may get another signal here. And we're just going to have to watch it. I'm not taking it. Another thing I could do, like if I really want to take it, just reduce my size, right? Go to 1 contract. Because again, if I'm wrong again, but I'm not going to go against my rules. That's the worst thing you could do. Even if the market would have worked out for you, it may have worked out this time, but there's going to be a time when it doesn't work out, and you keep going in, and you're like, it's got to come back for me, and you get yourself into this bad habit of this expectation where I'll make it back, and I may be able to make it back this time, but there will be a time where it's just going to be wrong trade after wrong trade after wrong trade. You can have 5 in a row. It's very possible. So you have to have some control somewhere. There has to be some point of control. Look at this. If I was not using something like a Trade Scanner Pro, I may have been shorting this entire time. Like, oh, okay, this is it right here. That's the short. No, it's not that. Okay, this is up here. Okay, it's going to pull back over here, right? This stupid thing. This is going to pull back right here. And now it's going against me there too. See that? We're breaking that resistance. We're breaking it. So this is one of those slow grinds higher, man. I'm not gonna fight it. We tried, and that's that, right? The first sign was it shouldn't have broken that, but that was minor. The second sign is it shouldn't be breaking this. We should have rejected this, right? We may still reject it, but all we are seeing are signs of strength. So, like I said, to adjust to the long side, to start going long, we need to clear this area. Right now, the 30-second chart is now aligned because it says trend is bullish. So the 30-second chart is looking for longs. I don't even have to change. I don't even have to switch to counter trend. Okay, it says trend is bullish at the top. So it's looking for longs. I may even, if I were to continue to trade, I may be even considering counter trend mode because this is a level where a short may appear. Possibly. But maybe the market will do us a favor and just, excuse me, grind through so we won't have to deal with that. Another false signal. Sorry about that. Excuse me. Okay, so see, look, we're trying to grind through. See that? Okay, that's it. Now, looking back, you can argue with me, but look, the trend was bullish the whole time, moron. You could have been just buying it. Well, it's in the transition process because at the time we still could have made some bearish arguments. If we hadn't had such a pullback on the bigger picture, then I would have been more bullish. But that pullback was significant, and it looks like we're recovering off of it. All right, so, okay, no problem. Look, we're breaking that resistance. This is not behavior of a bearish situation. So, okay, bullish, no problem. Has my 1 minute changed yet? Let's see. No, my 1 minute is still bearish. But it's about this thing. If this thing pushes a little higher, this is going to change too. Now, would I be open to shorts up here if I were to trade again? Well, I can only tell you this. This area is a reversal zone, like a higher probability fake out zone. But when you get a fake out up there, the fake out should occur right away. We shouldn't be seeing green candles that linger through it. See what I mean? So we could come up with all the ideas we want about being short. The market is just completely not aligned with that. So it was bearish, but it's changing. Like I said before, this is the art of adjusting, knowing when to adjust. Now, again, you could have said, oh, you were right about this reversal, and you should have just went with that. Yeah, but do you know how many times you see these reversals on 1 minute and 30-second time frames on a bearish environment? I mean, you could have made that argument over here too, right? Reverse head and shoulders. We could have made that argument over here. And then went lower. So you can't look at one instance and be like, oh yeah, that was it. This was it. We should have paid attention to that. You can't put all your weight like that. Now, if the context was more bullish, then this would have been way more meaningful. But the context wasn't. Okay? That's what happens during transitions. All right, no problem. This is how we learn. And you watch me do it, so you don't have to lose real money. And you don't have to make these mistakes. But the question is, am I making mistakes? I followed my analysis, right? So I those were not winning trades. Those were losing trades. But were they mistakes? I was following the information that we were going by, and we were looking at confirmations. The market just changed. So I wouldn't qualify those as mistakes. They're just losing trades. Okay? Because you could win money on a mistake. So a mistake is not following your plan. Like if I continue to trade right now and I was just shorting because I can't handle losing, that would be a mistake. Because now I'm doing something that's against my plan. That's a mistake, even if it works. If I I'm going to go all in, I'm going to make my money back. If I were to do something stupid like that and it worked, that still would have been a mistake. Okay, so you can't judge, you can't say mistakes, or success versus failure is about money, because it's not. It's about following your plan. Have you followed your plan properly? If the market changes, it changes, right? That's why we have to quantify risk. That's why we have to respect that the market is generally random, right? So it's still in a reversal area. It still may reverse there. And I'll tell you what this is going to do. It's going to suck a lot of people in long because they're going to say, okay, it's broken. Look at that short signal. We'll watch it. I'm not taking it, but we'll watch it. Let's see where this goes. Now watch, this is the one that works. So let's see, what price is that? 19,305. So let's just say short 19,305. In fact, I'll draw a line there. All right, so let's say I'm short from there. Not right at the blue line. I got a little bit worse than the blue line. The risk on this trade, this is the 1 minute chart. The risk on this trade is 45 points. Okay. The profit objective on this trade, based on where I'm long short from, in theory, because I'm not really short, as you can see, it's 50 points. That's about 1-to-1 reward risk because I got a worse price, right? Theoretically, I can't measure it from the blue line if I took, theoretically here where I drew this line. Just to be clear, I'm not really short. Okay, I mean, look at the account. There's no positions here, right? See, look, no positions. I just want to see where this one goes. So understand why the 1 minute is calling this short. The 1 minute never changed. Okay, it never changed. The trend was bearish the entire time. And this area, like I said, it was breaking, sort of. But look, we're getting the rejection. I mean, the rejecting is happening still within, it went a little bit further, but as you can see, it kind of gave it back kind of quickly there. See that? So that would be a welcome sign. If you were short, that would certainly be a welcome sign. For this thing to start proving itself, right, for one, we need to start breaking some of these little minor levels here, especially like this level here. But that's the profit objective. Watch, this is going to be the winning one. I could have made my money back. But it's more important. It's not important to make the money back. It's important to stick to the rules because it will save you in the long run. Trust me when I tell you. It will save you in the long run. Especially when you're dealing with these prop accounts. If you watch I watch a lot of videos with these prop guys talking about how they beat these evals. One of the things that they bring up over and over again is having a cutoff. And there's some platforms, like some of these white label platforms, like I know Top Step has one, where you could program in a cutoff number. So if you're like minus 500 for the day, it locks you out of the platform. So you can't trade anymore. Having that is what saves you. Because when you don't have that, like I'm enforcing it myself here. I don't have a button to lock me out, right? But if by having that, it prevents you from getting into those situations where you blow the account, right? Like you try to make the money back. And I understand, like, because you can get in a situation where it's like, oh, I don't want to, I worked so hard to get this money and now I blew this, portion. I need to make this back. So now you get bigger, right? And now you just now you go from minus 500 to minus 1,500, and then you try to make that, and you're like, all right, I'm just going to go all in and hope for the best, right? And that may or may not work. Like that's not a sustainable way to do things. Okay, you have to have a cutoff number. If I had the cutoff number on that Friday where I got out of hand over here, I would have saved myself $400. But I had to make that money back, right? So that's why that's probably more important than taking signals, is having a cutoff limit, your own cutoff limit. Top Step has a daily loss limit of $1,000. Like Apex doesn't have that. They just let you go to your full stop, which is good because sometimes you need that flexibility with these prop accounts. But Top Step has like an automatic. You minus 1,000, they kick you out. At least they used to. I don't know. I haven't looked at them in a while. But but they have a platform, their own platform, which they have like a lockout value where you can put in a number and it'll lock you out. So minus 500, whatever. You put the number in, it'll lock you out of the platform. You can't trade anymore for the day. And it forces you to stick to that, which is the best way to go usually. So so I'm minus 400 today. If I could make, I could basically make that back in 2 trades or one, even possibly 1 trade if I catch a winner, a runner, right? So you just have to, you can't get affected by that. You can't let it affect like your ego, or you can't let it affect you emotionally. It's like, all right, whatever. Especially since this is not real money. It's a prop account. The only thing this is really costing me is time, because now I got to spend the time to make that money back. Make sense? Anyone still following me over here? Oh, I got some more people watching. Let's see. All right. Well, not on YouTube. Man, I don't know about YouTube, man. YouTube stinks. Well, hopefully you guys can watch these streams after, because no one watches me in real time. I got my 4 people. I appreciate you guys. So we'll let this idea here run out a bit. Let's see how it does. All right, but see, look, this short is working much better. Now let me ask you. I mean, it's nowhere near the profit objective, but at least it's not going straight to the stop, right? Let me ask you. How many of you were convinced that this was a long? Be honest. This is what it does. It sucks you in. Okay? And you're not paying attention to the levels, and now you got all these longs in here, expecting this thing to go higher. And look, now you have a lower high. Look at that. That's beautiful. If I was short, that would be very welcome. Remember, I'm short in theory. I'm short from this blue line, not this one. I got a worse price. And look, it rejected even that blue line. It rejected my entry price. That's great. So let's see how that goes. Now, maybe this market is a long, but right now, the short is working. Now, if this market establishes a higher low somewhere around here, let's see, it's trying to give us that failed low situation. If it establishes a higher low, then this market may be a long. Now, who was it? James. If we get this pattern now up here, that would be much more compelling than getting it here. Does that make sense? And the reason why that's much more compelling is because we have this bullish movement that's letting us know that this market is not exactly weak. Looks like we have like a mini version, like a mini failed low. All right, and now look, this trade isn't really making any progress like it tries. And look, I'm back to my entry price. So that's not weakness. Weakness is it moves, man. It sells. Like when it's weak, it moves. This is weakness here, right? It moves. Big candles, not little candles. Little candles means no one's selling. So, my trailing stop has reduced my risk a bit. Again, we're just watching to see if this thing, produces anything on this trade. I'm not in it. I took my 2 trades. I got punched in the face 2 times. I know when to quit. And I'll tell you, that right there alone is probably one of the most important parts of this game, is knowing when to quit in the face of losing. You have to know when to walk away. Right? The market's provoking, right? The market says, "Yo mama." That's what the market says. And you're like, "What?" And then everyone gets in front of you. "Yo, man, it's not worth it. Walk away, man. Walk away. It's not worth it." That's the situation. Yo mama. Yo, what do you say about my mama? Yo, man, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. See what I mean? It's not worth it. Look, this is going to get stopped out. All right, I don't think this market's weak. I don't think it's weak. This is not the characteristic of a weak market. Failed low. All right. I was sitting there I was just about to have a talk about, see, it fooled everyone. Well, no, it looks like I got fooled. And it's going to stop out. Okay, good thing I'm not in it. All right, that's why I had the cutoff. See the importance of the cutoff? Now, we have a higher low, higher high. That's signature of bullish. That now we can argue that this is bullish. But it takes all this to make that argument. Okay, so if I were to continue in the afternoon, I would be looking for longs. Plus, my 1 minute time frame changed. The trend is bullish. Okay, when we go through those transitions, this is what happens. This is what happens. Look, the trade is still in play, but I think I would argue at this point, even if it goes to the profit objective on the short side, even if it goes there, that could still be arguably a failed low, just a broader one. Do you see that? It would just basically be consolidating in that area. And in this situation, if I were short, I'd be looking to just get out of this, see if I could break even on it or something. That's what I'd be looking to do right now, because this is not giving me the characteristic of a weak market. Does that make sense, you guys? So this is a great learning experience. Learn from this. This is the thought process you should be going through if you're facing a transition, because this was bearish. It's not bearish anymore. Okay. And again, I'm convinced because we have a higher low, a clear higher low. That's a structural higher low. It took a few candles to build that. It's not like these are single candles. You can't really count these. These are all part of the same move, right? All this is kind of part of the same move. This is much more significant. You see that? It's a broader pullback relative to these little red candles. Now we could say higher low, went for the higher high. Could be a failed high. Man, this is tricky. If this fails again, man, it's just tricky. Stay away from markets like this if it's going to fail again. But hey, markets aren't binary either. So here's the outlook you should have. If this low stays intact, I would look for longs. If this low is compromised, then I would go back to the short side. Does that make sense? So that's like your key level right here. That's the key low right there. You break that low, we're probably still on the short side. You hold that low or failed low, we're probably on the long side. Okay? Make sense? All right, you guys. So I hope you got some good value out of this, even though, I couldn't show you any green today, but this is going to happen. And you have to be prepared for that. I had a bunch of green days in a row. A red day was, we're going to have a red day. There's no such thing as 100% green. And I only trade this 3 days a week. So anyway, all right. So I hope you got value out of the stream. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. Try the Trade Scanner Pro out if you haven't. You have 14 days to play with it. You can cancel anytime. Please don't wait until day 14 to cancel it. You're going to get billed. Okay, and there are no refunds. It says it on my website and all that stuff. It's very clear. And it's not fair to me for people, I want a refund. But dude, you know what I mean? If you're not responsible enough to keep track of that, I can't hold your hand in that area. So anyway, and it's very cumbersome for me to refund that whole thing. And it costs me money. So please be responsible. All right, so I'll leave you with that. You know where to find me, marketpremarkets.com. Thank you for watching. And we'll do this again on Friday. All right, you guys. So enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, wherever you are in the world. And thank you for watching.